Yeah. That's right. Well, then we're not following our own rules. Well,
He's not the just a lover. That's what he said. Yeah, that sounds like him.
You guys ready? Okay. All right, y'all ready? Going to call the planning and zoning meeting to order. Please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices you might have. First item on the agenda is SD 2201, and I'll need a motion to lift that from the table.
I move to lift application SD 22-0201.
It's 01, yes.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It's 02 on another page. From the table for consideration at this time.
Have a motion to lift, to have a second. Seconded by Mr. Ballard. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay. I'll read the application here. It's Quintarius Burns, owner, 2439 Teeman Road, approximately 50.23 acres located in land lot 233 of the 3rd Land District. Applicant is requesting the board to lift the application from the table and further request consideration and approval of a revised preliminary plat consisting of 17 lots within the R1A single-family residential district. Do we have someone here tonight to speak to that? Is the applicant here? Come up and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Getz and Woodall here for the applicant.
Okay, and your address for the record?
4172 Jodico Road, Stockbridge, Georgia.
Okay, thank you. I guess the burning question is, has the applicant seen the conditions that were imposed on the rezoning, or do you have anything you want to add to that, or any discussion you want?
Not at this time. We thought we were getting 1 acre lot approved for that development and found out that it was 2 acres under the zoning, so
That's correct.
we replanned it with the 2 acre minimum down to 19 lots from 28, I think.
Okay. Is the applicant happy with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. We have any questions up here from the commissioners?
I do have just a couple. I noticed that there's some comments there with regard to the flood zone and so forth, and you have designated areas there along the reservoir and Tioga watershed district. Is there any concerns about the watershed or the floodplain area and plenty of room to build on the lots?
We don't have any floodplain within the project. We've already designated the floodplain areas, and there are none.
Okay.
I had a question as well. I wanted to make sure that they understood that approval here, it'll also have to be approved by Henry County because of water district there. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir. And we've got a letter that we've submitted with this application that they've already
All right.
reviewed the plat and accepted it, and they've approved it.
All right, just wanted to be sure. Mr. Cox, you have anything?
Not for the applicant.
Okay, we'll reserve the right to call you back up.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Do we have anyone signed up to speak? Okay, we don't have anybody signed up to speak. If there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
How about staff report?
Sorry,
But you can discuss.
we got it, staff report. Thank you. Okay.
Before I give my staff report, Mr. Galloway, did you have anything?
Kelly, I want to raise one point with you, on the staff recommendations before they make a vote. Your conditions are listed in the staff report as 1 through 14, which are fine. However, there is one condition that was imposed by VOC when the rezoning was approved in 2020, which was for a 30-foot undisturbed buffer with field-located walking trails. And that has to carry forward into other conditions regarding the development of this plat, because we do not have the authority to go back and change conditions that were imposed by VOC. And that condition was evidenced, at the, I wanted to double check and make certain our conditions were consistent. And that if you look at the, I was able to track down at relatively the last minute, the zoning approval letter that was sent to the applicant in 2010 from after the VOC vote, and that is one discrepancy that needs to be corrected and carried forward. And that condition also, made a condition of plat approval. And that is found in the commission's letter to the applicant, one of the property owners at that time, Mr. and Ms. Harper. And it is identified as VOC condition yay. So that also needs to be added into the staff recommended conditions. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and do your report, and then we'll add 15 on there with the proper language?
Yes, sir. So staff does recommend conditional approval. We've worked very diligently with this applicant. I understand that this has been redesigned more than once, and that's part of the reason that that condition K was left off, is it's no longer completely necessary. However, Mr. Galloway is right. We will have to go through the process of removing that condition, and that can only be done by the Board of Commissioners. But at this time, we would have to add it back in to the Planning Commission recommendations. With your approval, if no one has any questions for me, I stand by my report as submitted.
Okay. And so the language on 15 should be the addition of a 30-foot undisturbed buffer
Yes, sir.
with a walking trail around the perimeter, is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And if anyone has any questions for me at this time, Mr. Emmons, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Frank? Nick? I'm good.
Yeah, I just want to get my head around the changes that were implemented since we last saw it. And that is, the lot 17 is now being eliminated.
It's
And
recommended.
that
to
was
be
the most
removed.
questionable of the original, so that was one of the changes.
Yes, sir.
Was this original, I couldn't find the original packet on this. Was this originally served by sewer service, or is this an addition?
No, sir, it's served by Henry County.
Okay, and that was always there.
Yes.
I just missed it. I'm sorry.
Okay, is there any other comment, Bruce?
No, sir.
If there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval with the 15 conditions, and I'm not going to read them, but as they are in the record.
Okay? So I have a motion to approve with the 15 conditions, the 15th one having just been added. Do I have a second?
Second.
Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is, will require a motion to lift from the table as well. I'll go ahead and read it. It's 2209Z, Clinton C. O'Brien and Sandra O'Brien Malloy, owners, HFG Development, Agent 480 Tomachichi Road, approximately 85 acres located in land lot 49 and 50 of the 3rd Land District. Applicant requests rezoning from AR1 agricultural and residential and R2 single-family residential to C2 manufacturing. So I'll entertain a motion to lift from the table.
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second. Have a second. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and announce that there will not be any public discussion tonight. I think we've had 2 opportunities to have public discussion on this. There will be an opportunity at the Board of Commissioners for a follow-up if there are other things that need to be discussed in a public manner. So with that being said, the floor is open for discussion on this application.
I have questions for the applicant. Is that permitted?
I think we had decided not.
Okay, then I don't have any, I'm sorry, I don't have any questions for the applicant.
Ms. Lewis?
Ask.
All right, I was trying to make a quick clarification earlier, but again, I was told that basically I just wanted to ensure that, that everything within this plan is going to concur with the AKB, or K Bolton Parkway Overlay Zone and requirements that are already established under Article 22. There are some things in there, and we've talked about them before, back and forth, somewhat with the time frame, I guess, that maybe these occur. But as far as the rezoning and stuff, it does talk about the traffic study of the area and circulation plan within the proposed development, as well as to any to and from existing streets adjacent to the site which has been one thing that's been a big concern for most of us. And I know the folks out in the area out there, just with all of the additional traffic that will be in the area. So I do think that that is something that is definitely needed, and we still need to know the details of that and make sure that everything is covered well with that before this goes into full development. And again, there are specifics in there as far as landscaped areas and tree removal, and some other distinctions that there have been discussions over the last couple of meetings that we've had about this that did identify some things, and it talked about some buffer areas and stuff. But again, we can talk about them, but we still need to abide by, this is one of the first of the major developments, other than the industrial park that's going along the Martha K. Bolton Parkway. It was set up, this whole overlay, to accommodate this type of development, but it needs to be done correctly. And we don't want to be making adjustments or alleviating any of the requirements that were already set out as we get started here. So I just want to be sure and let you know it's my understanding that that will be met, but I want to push for that to definitely be met throughout this whole development process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard. Any other discussion up front here?
Chairman, I'm still concerned about the impact this is going to have on the physical road that's already out there. I'm not comfortable at all with a rezoning going through and then hoping that GDOT will do the right thing.
Well, I had wondered why they had to wait until we rezoned before they could do the study. Ms. Littlefield, do you have any reasoning behind why they do that?
So GDOT was contacted on multiple occasions, not only Mr. Peak, who is the civil engineer over the GDOT district, I think is the terminology, but also their driveway specialist was contacted, who is specific to Spalding County. And their direct and specific response to our office was that they do not get involved at the zoning level. They are involved whenever the LDP is submitted, which is the land disturbance permit.
Okay.
Due to the size of it, of the development itself, part of the developments of regional impact, there is a requirement for the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority to comment on they are part of the committee that comments on developments of regional impact. They have submitted all of the required paperwork to that study, and it's a higher level study than what GDOT requires on their curb cuts. However, they did not have any comments to any effect on the development.
Since there,
It's a little disconcerting.
since there doesn't seem to be any more discussion up here, would you like to go ahead and do the staff report?
The staff report is submitted, as, I said that incorrectly. The staff report is as submitted. My apologies on that. The, conditions, to your comment, Mr. Ballard, whenever we do a rezoning of a piece of property and we add conditions to it, those conditions are not to in any way negate zoning or an overlay, the requirements of development and an overlay. The conditions are to add to what is already required in the overlay. So if there's something unique to the piece of property, where it sits, how it lays, a particular feature, that sort of thing, conditions are designed to address those type of things and make sure that we're protecting all of the property around it. But as submitted, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen, any other discussion?
Yeah, I believe, I feel like I need some more information. I think I don't really fully know what I'm being asked to approve. This was brought to us a couple months ago, and at that time, they made some, there were some plans presented about variety of things, and then there was a public hearing, and then after it was initially proposed, at various times I heard that they were going to change the landscaping so that they were going to use evergreens as a better sound barrier. They were going to, the auxiliary exit entrance, which I believe, let me make sure I'm right, it's on, I believe that's on Cheehaw Road, was going to be designed where a truck could not use that entrance, although I don't know how that works. And so I don't know, and I believe you've had several conversations probably with the developers, so you know the specifics that they've made that address a lot of the public concerns. So, but I don't get those, I mean, I wasn't given that information. So I guess I need a fuller report on how this is gonna be set up and how it's gonna work.
May I, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Okay, so at this point in time, what you have in front of you is a concept drawing, which is what's required in a rezoning. The specifics that that have been addressed in the concept drawing are addressed at the LDP phase. They're addressed in the civil drawings. So to say that we would only make this concept drawing a one-way entrance or non-entrance to trucks, it doesn't change the concept drawing. The entrance would still be there.
No, I understand it doesn't change the concept drawing, but it changes my opinion of the project.
Yes, sir?
So what is it? So is it going to be a restricted entrance or not?
Mr. Cox, Tomachichi and Cheehaw are no through truck roads.
Well, I understand that.
So legally, they should not be allowed to enter through that
Yeah,
that
I
entrance.
understand that, and we had a lot of people say that what's legal isn't always what happens. And we get into a situation then when we're dealing with ordinances and violations, and they have to call the sheriff's department, and the sheriff may or may not be able to witness it, may or may not be available to write a ticket. So it doesn't seem like just saying that those roads, well, that's good that we say that, but I'm not sure that's the best possible solution. I think restricting that auxiliary entrance from any truck use is a more elegant solution to the problem.
I would agree.
And if the developer's willing to do that, then I think they should, and I think it needs to be included in any approval we make at this time. If we're just approving concepts, great. I'll approve a moonshot.
I have to echo Walter's remarks.
I don't know why I don't know why we can't know what we're voting on.
Mr. Chairman, we can make an additional condition from the commission that restricts the traffic in and out on Cheehaw Road to only car traffic. That can be a recommendation of the board.
Okay, I'm good with that, but doesn't number 10 on the conditions cover that?
Not Not exactly.
No?
Not the way that it's worded.
Not, that, no, just, that goes back to traffic enforcement, not design.
But the developer is supposed to do the measures, not law enforcement.
Mr. Chairman, given that this is a concept plan, I think you could add that condition regarding restricting access for both Tomochichi and Sheehaw.
Okay, so let's add number 11. Mr. Cox, how would you categorize that wording there?
That the Cheehaw auxiliary entrance be designed so it cannot be used by trucks. Or commercial vehicles, I guess pickup trucks is a whole different thing, so let's say commercial trucks or commercial vehicles.
Could you make that- could you-
Primarily, you're talking about 18-wheelers though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how to define it, for the proper,
Anything over 8 wheels. is what you-
And you could even broaden that to be any auxiliary entrance that is not located off of State Route 16.
right. Well, the concept plan has only one.
But it is just a concept.
But it could be changed.
Okay.
Okay.
And then going back to all the public comments we had before, I would like to see a condition that, as per the developer agreed, that evergreen, evergreen vegetation be used
On the berms.
on the berms to improve sound reduction. And then the public had a concern about traffic stacking up on Highway 16, and I don't know if that's legit, I don't know how big a problem that could or would be. But I do know that when we reviewed the Dollar General warehouse, there was a lot of discussion of stacking lanes. You remember that? Basically, there were lanes on site where trucks would pull off the road, and then if they had to wait, they would wait on the property rather than on the highway. And I don't know if that's the best way to address the possibility of traffic congestion or truck backup on Highway 16, but I want to float that as a possible remedy, and if it is a remedy, then include that as a condition.
They got a lot of backup space on there.
Well,
The drives.
you know,
and
that's
stuff.
kind of why I want to talk to the applicant. I know the engineer's not here tonight. Again, we're not engineers. Well, Bruce is actually. But the whole concept of stacking lanes was new to me, and I've only been exposed to it once. It sounds like a good idea. I don't know if it's in the concept plan or not. I wanted to ask.
Be worth considering.
Well, really, I do think as big as the site is, I really don't see that being a problem. I think if you had limited space for trucks to pull in, it would be a problem. But, and maybe we need something to the effect, if traffic backup proves to be a problem, then this, but as much space as they've got, I've got to believe they can pull a substantial number of trucks in there to wait their turn, so to speak.
Are we talking Incoming or outgoing?
incoming.
Incoming, yeah,
That's what I was thinking, okay.
yeah, incoming.
Mr. Yeomans, would you mind speaking into the mic?
Okay.
Can I just get one other point of clarification? On staff recommendation number 7, it talks about natural vegetation shall be preserved along with the wooded reserve portion of the northeast corner of the concept plan. In our previous discussions and in the minutes, it talks about the southwest corner. So I just want to be sure which one we're really talking about. And in the, back in the minutes, if it would help any, it also talks about, Spalding County Health Department approved the plan for development with a portion of the land for septic tanks and so forth, and then that septic area there is in the, on the southwest.
Yes, sir. So in the discussion, if I may, I'm sorry, let me check the full approval.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
So in the discussion, my understanding is that southwest corner would be, DPH would have more oversight on that because they are looking into a septic system potentially with this site. And so they would have more jurisdiction over that as they provide the environmental services for the county.
So there's something else in about the northeast then?
The
For sure.
the northeast corner is meant to be preserved as green space. The southwest corner will be, that's, to condition the southwest corner for natural vegetation is a repetition of what's required in the AKV overlay. So to add a condition that repeats the ordinance that they're already required to do.
Well, I mean, on the concept plan, the northeast just shows a 25-foot buffer on the plan.
That's the reason the condition's in place.
Okay.
It's not just
Not
a
much
buffer.
not much property there.
Frank, you got anything else?
Yeah, I've been involved in vegetative projects that were necessary for the issuance of a CO. But I've seen very few instances in which after the vegetation died, there was anything done about that. I'd like to tie, if possible, and Ms. Littlefield and Mr. Galloway may have to guide us on this. I'd like to tie their business license or annual renewal thereof to the condition of the vegetation of the buffer. And I presume they will have to have a business license every year. Okay. I'm not good on verbiage, but I think the idea has merit. I've just seen too many situations in which people not only didn't plant the vegetation they were supposed to because they said it wasn't the time of year to do it, but then after it did get planted, it wasn't maintained. And we're trying to get this one project right to begin with because we have not wrestled with this yet. I do not want us turning into what 155 looks like south of the interchanges of 75 in McDonald. And if we get this one and don't get it right, we're going to have to live with it because we will have set a very bad precedent.
terms of a recommendation, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so just as a notification to the board, Mr. Galloway actually cannot comment on the conditions of this due to a conflict of interest with HFG. I just want that noted. So you're requesting, just as a point of clarification, you're requesting that the buffer maintenance be tied to their business license? Okay?
Unless you see something that is bad with that idea.
Ms. Wyndham? I'm going to request a comment, however, it's my recommendation as staff that we tread lightly.
Yeah, I think that would be a difficult road to hoe as far as enforcement.
Well, if they're going to be required to do it, then,
You can tie it to the occupancy permit, can't you?
We can tie it to a requirement of occupancy, but once the certificate of occupancy
Yeah, right,
is
but
awarded-
that gets you part of the way there.
Correct. Once the certificate of occupancy is awarded and their bond expires on that particular instance, there's not a lot, again, as Ms. Wyndham said, there's not a lot of enforcement powers that we have other than property maintenance.
Yeah.
Maybe-
However, as a zoning condition, it does follow the property.
Well, could we not just have a yearly buffer check or whatever and fuss at them if it's not?
Since I happen to know who inspects the landscaping for Spalding County, yes, sir, I'm sure we could have an annual inspection. However, something that might be more feasible here is for the length of the bond that they have to retain the services of an arborist.
Ooh, I like that.
To give us a checkup, because the bond is gonna go the length of the construction and then a potential period after. I don't know what the length of that period can be. The longest one I've ever heard of was instituted in North Carolina on a coastal project, and it ran for 12 years. However, that was extenuating circumstances of a coastal project.
Yeah.
I don't think we have that hardship here that we can enforce that.
I like that, though, because it puts it on them, and the state of, given the state of code enforcement in Spalding County, I don't want us having to inspect anything, because we're really not good at it. When we have,
Thank you, Mr. Cox.
well, I'm not criticizing you, Ms. Littlefield, I'm stating a fact. Do we even have code enforcement officers right now?
Yes, sir, we have one.
certainly we
We
do.
have one, okay.
Yes, sir.
If I might, since I brought this up, maybe since it's our concern, maybe it's up to the developer to assure us that this is not going to be a problem.
So that's where I was going with extending the bond, and for the life of the bond, they have to have a report from an arborist to our office. I do, again, Ms. Wyndham, you're our bond expert, I would defer to you of how long we could extend that bond.
The typical time is only 1 year, so it would be, it would be difficult to extend it for much longer than what we normally do.
Well, if they want this rezoning, they ought to be willing to extend it as long as we want, or renew it every year. Stephanie, I've seen too many situations in which it got planted, and it was gone in a year.
I understand.
And we
it
don't
is-
have any way to enforce that or to remedy that. And we're not dealing with Chick-fil-A.
You want to make sure that the vegetation has not died, definitely.
Oh, it
And
needs to be maintained. I mean, if they want this rezoning badly enough, they'll figure a way to make us happy.
And typically bonding companies, it's an annual renewal, so we're gonna have to make sure that is actually being kept up and paid, and that insurance policy provided to us. I think personally that 3 years is a reasonable amount of time that we could probably get by with. I'm not sure about much longer than that, given that typically those maintenance type bonds are only for a year.
I still say, I don't want it to be our problem. It's their problem. And I want it to be their problem if the land, if the landscaping is not maintained. As I said, this is the first one of these that we're doing. And we either get it right this time, or Martha McDaniel is going to be rolling over in her grave. She was the county commissioner that first appointed me to the Board of Zoning Appeals. She is the one that designed, or pretty much made the idea come to fruition on this overlay. And if for no other reason, for me to feel that way, I think it's the developer's problem. It's not ours. They want the rezoning. They need to assure us that there is a way that the vegetation that is being planted as a buffer will be there. And if they aren't willing to do that, they don't want the rezoning that badly.
Mr. Chair, if I may. If we do a 3-year bond, just if we do a 3-year bond with the oversight of an arborist from the developer, making that report annually to us, at the end of that 3 years, if the vegetation is found to be in good standing and sustainable, at that time, we can release the bond. If we make that the condition to institute a requirement of a maintenance bond for 3 years on all buffers and landscaping, with the advent of with the submission of a report by certified arborist to the county before the bond is released.
That sounds fine.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That way, there is a certified arborist marching through the woods, checking on the trees, making sure that the landscaping is right, and also can document any adverse impacts at that time as the development moves forward.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Sounds good to me. Okay, you got one more?
I got one more, boss.
Can I get this one written down first, please?
Please, please
Okay,
do.
certified arborist to report annually required to be sustainable and in good standing. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay?
There was also considerable public concern with noise, particularly noise at night. I did some research on that, and I found some codes in other counties, so I want to possibly at some point talk about our noise codes, but for this particular one, I would like to add another condition that noises, and this is from the Clayton County Code, noises associated with the parking, loading, and unloading of trucks and other vehicles, when such noises are unreasonably loud so as to disturb a reasonable person in his or her residence any day between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. are prohibited. Suggestion, it's a suggestion. But I don't think there's any other way. Well, I think we need it. I honestly think we need it for the reasons that Frank pointed out. We need to do this on warehouses.
This doesn't preclude them from operating, it just precludes them from being extremely noisy.
Right,
A
right,
nuisance, yeah.
right, yeah.
Okay.
From making unreasonably loud noises that would disturb a reasonable person. And I'm thinking particularly of the backup beepers, things like that, because I've had people out in District 5, and they're talking about the Dollar General warehouse, which isn't even in Spalding County. We got the parking lot and the guard shack. Butts County got the warehouse. But they say when those trucks back up at 3 o'clock in the morning, it sounds like their alarm clock going off. And I don't think we need that. If we can prohibit that, well, yeah, no, we have to prohibit that. I don't think it's an if. And so that's what I'm trying to accomplish. If there's a better way to accomplish it, fine. That was the best I was able to come up with.
I don't know how you do it, but if you've got an idea to do it,
Well,
do it.
Again, it's code enforcement. But I think this is, I think this would work because we get to the point like John's, when they dump the,
Trash,
trash bins over behind your house every Thursday at
Tuesday and Thursday.
Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock in the morning, you've told somebody about that. And if there was an ordinance that prohibited that, or a condition, something might be done.
It's only about 4 miles.
Yeah, yeah. So that's, I'm suggesting that as, again, another condition. And when we get through with conditions, let me know, and then I have another question.
All right, so that's 14.
And any noise ordinance violation is going to, of course, be complaint driven, so.
Right, yeah,
it's-
yeah. And our present noise ordinance it only deals with construction, it doesn't deal with warehousing.
And parties.
Much of that noise could be really mitigated through the use of a good vegetative buffer. I'm thinking evergreen type things, multiple layers of them possibly, or
Right.
staggered.
Yeah, when, at the open house / public hearing that was held a week after this, and not everyone was able to attend, the developer and engineer talked about, using evergreen vegetation, which is much superior to pines, which is what we usually see, and to, I don't know exactly how to describe, but to put overlaying rows to where it forms a solid buffer.
Right.
So that's what I heard them say. And I think we've got a condition on that. So I think we're doing, because my research on that showed that the best thing you can do is berms, the second best thing you can do is berms with evergreen vegetation, and the third best, and the other only thing you can do is sound walls, which like you see on the interstates, along the interstates in certain areas. And I don't know that we really want to get into sound walls, and I'm not sure what the trade-off is on that. So I felt good with the changes to the vegetation that they proposed at the open house / public hearing.
And going back to that, your evergreen, condition, I think we probably should put a sustainable evergreen.
Yeah, sustainable.
Because, there's a lot of evergreens out there that, after 5 or 6 years are very subject to
Right.
disease and problems and. won't
Yeah,
last
that's
for
right.
a few years.
No Leland cypress.
No Leland cypress. The stuff I read is that the best choices are arborvitaes and hollies.
Cryptomeria would be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'm up to 14, is that correct? On conditions?
Are we
That's what I've got.
revising 10? Are we keeping 10 and adding another one about the entrance?
I kept 10 and added 11 as,
Okay, I'm up to 15 then. You've got the entrance designed so it prohibits truck that, I have one, I wrote one down that we didn't discuss.
Wow.
But I'll go ahead and put that out. That, going back to the traffic study, that we have community development director and/or the county manager sign off on the acceptability of the traffic study, because it can't come back to us. It can't come back to the county commission. But somebody needs to review that sucker and say, it's good, it's acceptable.
Do you not do that anyway?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Okay.
As it's a development of regional impact, it also has to be reviewed by the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority. It's also reviewed by GDOT.
Yeah,
All right,
I got 15 too.
okay. I missed one somewhere.
okay, well then I've got, that puts me down to 14.
I've got 14.
All right. Well, we had about the roads,
Yeah, the
Right.
access.
and then we had sustainable evergreens.
Right,
That's
on-
12.
We talked about the, as best possible, consider to be able to work the drives and stuff for stacking lanes
Oh, I forgot about that.
Okay,
on property.
I thought we were okay with maybe the on-site thing, or,
Yeah, that's what we're talking about on site.
Okay.
On site efforts.
oh, well, I didn't have that as a condition, so are we
Okay.
gonna, I'm okay with including it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, whenever we discuss as a local government, whenever we are discussing a Georgia Department of Transportation controlled highway, we cannot make demands on what they do with their right of way.
that's right.
And we cannot condition the property and require a developer to do that. We can put a condition that makes a requirement as allowed or prescribed by the Georgia Department of Transportation. We cannot make it a condition of the property.
We're talking about on the highway,
Yes, sir.
on the site.
The stacking lanes, it was my understanding, would be on the highway.
No.
It was just to incorporate that in their drives around their buildings.
Right, they have to be on the site. Or not, they don't have to be on the site, but in Dollar General, they were on the site.
Okay?
And I think that's what needs to happen. You need to get those trucks,
Off
if
the
there's
road.
any stack up, you need to get those trucks off the highway onto the site, whether they can get to their dock or their bay. That's a whole other issue.
Yes, sir.
But we don't want them sitting out on the highway.
Stacking lanes on-site.
Well, and I don't know that we
We can leave that one up.
we say something like provisions for truck stacking on site, so, to avoid, we don't need to say stacking, we don't need to prescribe it, because
Right.
who knows, they may have a better solution, again, not being an engineer, and I don't see their engineer here tonight, so we can't really address that.
Well,
So-
again, I would say when you look at the conceptual plan there with the proposed parking bays, I would think they've got plenty of room there for that.
Right.
That's kind of what
You would think,
you would think, but we don't know.
but we don't know.
And I think since that could be a sore point, we can't ignore it.
So provisions then,
Yeah, provisions.
for stacking lanes
Yeah.
on property. And then,
All right, I got the 3-year
Arborist.
bond for the certified arborist, that's 13, 14,
and then the noise
and then the
at night.
10 PM to 7 PM sound deal. Okay, all right.
And then for number 7, I want to include that northeast and southwest to be sure we're covered. We're just talking about preserving. That's what the applicant told us the last time, so we'll cover that part.
All right, so number 7 includes southwest as well? Okay.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion.
Wait. Before we make a motion, is it permissible if we ask the applicant if these conditions are acceptable to them?
Okay.
We can't? Okay.
We just move forward.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. I just thought that would be a nice, we generally do that.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'll make the motion with, based on the staff recommendations and the other conditions that were added, that we approve, which one? Rezoning application number 22-09Z.
Have a motion to approve with the conditions. I have a second.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Harris. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay, all right. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, August the 30th.
I submitted mine already.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
You're a good man.
I know. Well, some
Based on what you do.
some people think so, not everyone.
Okay.
Okay, guys. We'll entertain a motion to approve.
I will move to approve the minutes.
Okay, have a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Seconded. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous.
Okay.
Ms. Littlefield, do you have your report?
Oh, do we need to, since we have visitors tonight, do we need to say that these go to the county commission and they would,
Yeah.
there will be there will be further deliberations and there will be a chance to have public comment again at the county commission?
That is correct. And that
Maybe
will-
maybe we should say that.
When is the commission meeting?
They're meeting on December 5th.
December
At
5th.
At 6 o'clock.
Commission meeting, December the 5th at 6 o'clock. Okay, Ms. Littlefield, you have your report.
I have a couple of things. One, the rezoning that was proposed, in Orchard Hill for the mobile home park located on Macon Road was approved by the city council. They are working very diligently on their site plan. They will be installing expanding sewer within the mobile home park, and they are required to install a vegetative buffer, with a bond as well. The second thing that we are currently working on, in case you guys haven't heard, it is the holidays. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you and your families. Thank you so much for your service that you have, committed to the county. We would like to invite you to our first annual, board Christmas party that is being hosted by your community development staff. It will be here on December 6th. I believe you have a flyer. It is a breakfast. If you are available to join us, we would love to host you, and thank you so much for all of your diligent service.
And what was that date?
December 6th, you do have a flyer in your
Okay,
packet.
all right. I got it, excellent.
Okay.
Our newest
Look back
staff
for it.
member actually is on. So our newest staff member, our planning tech, Ms. Susan Ellington, has joined us. She has a wealth of experience, not only in multiple, community development programs that are federally funded, she also comes to us with quite a bit of municipal experience. So we're very thrilled to have her join our team. She is working very diligently to make sure that she is serving you in the best possible way and learning as much as she possibly can. She is a longtime resident of Spalding County, and she has been a wealth of knowledge, already, and a great asset in terms of responding to our residents. In terms of any other actions that are coming up on the horizon, we will be having our next meeting on December
20th.
That's BOC.
20th.
20th.
Oh, that's-
It will be held
okay,
here. I do
that's December.
apologize for I know that the December meeting traditionally was canceled. However, we do have a rezoning request that has come forward and it has proper due diligence. So with that, Mr. Chair, if you have any questions for me, I'll be glad to entertain them at this time.
I think I'm good. Any of the commissioners have anything for Ms. Littlefield?
I just wa-
Okay. The last item between us and adjournment is anything the commissioners have on their chest. So, did we get it off our chest tonight?
Getting there.
I'm good.
Bruce?
I'll go, in looking at this, Newton, are you still there? Yeah,
He signed off.
signed off. In looking at this, and researching noise,
Mr.
Newton-
Cox, Newton is still there, yes.
In researching this and looking at the noise control and stuff like that, I ended up looking at ordinances for other counties, noise ordinance for other counties, and I believe ours may, I strongly believe that ours could use a tune-up. Like I said, best I can tell, we basically are just have noise ordinance governing construction noise. And that may be, that may have been appropriate, but as we get more and more into stuff like expanded industrial parks and warehouses, we need to consider things like the nighttime noise that those businesses generate. So I would humbly suggest that you put on the docket your agenda, realizing that you have much to do, that we look at revising our noise ordinances, bringing them into line with other counties in the area. And that is in addition to the parking on paved, lined spaces for outside storage that we discussed over a year ago. So I'm asking you to consider, staff and counselor, to consider 2 ordinances that I believe would be beneficial, presuming that we somehow have capability in the future of code enforcement.
Mr. Galloway, I can take a look at the noise ordinance. I'll leave the other to you.
Well, like I said, I just looked at some surrounding counties, and it seemed like ours was great when we were before we got into more development. And I personally experienced the construction ordinance myself, because I live in,
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
yeah, and,
Walter, amendments can be recommended by the planning commission, though the noise ordinance is generally not considered part of our zoning work. However, the planning commission has the authority to make recommendations for consideration of ordinances.
yes, and that's what I'm doing. Yeah, it's one of the listed duties and responsibilities of planning commissioners. So I'm exercising one of my duties and responsibilities.
That's governed by, section, hold on just a second. 414, B, which provides, 14A, 3, which provides that the planning commission or board may propose an amendment, and that section addresses amendments to the UDO and zoning
Yeah, I don't want to extend this meeting, but I thought, what do you mean the noise ordinance is in the UDO? I mean, I've looked at it myself, and I thought I was looking in the UDO.
No, the noise ordinance is in the general code,
Okay,
not part of the zoning ordinance.
okay, no, yeah,
It's part of the nuisance code, is what it says.
It is.
okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. It, all- you know, when I get on that TOC dash whatever,
Sure.
I wasn't paying attention to the headings.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well, again, I think with this and, see, because we didn't put this condition on the Steel Road Warehouse Complex Park. And that, so, but if we'd thought about it, I probably would have recommended it. So I guess I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get into the ordinance so we don't have to, it's like with the fire hydrants, we have to do it every time as a condition when it could be in code. So that's what I'm trying to establish. And that's it. Bruce, go ahead. Come on, Bruce.
You want me to add a few?
Go ahead. Don't let me down.
Good. I'm good. I went to leave them down tonight.
All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. No, Nick gets a second.
We're adjourned.
Okay.
Bruce?
Bye, Nick. Have
I'm
fun.
confused.
Everybody else know.
You know, listing, I was here when the first time this came up. And I'm still not real comfortable with,
I'm not even, I don't know what
but
you
I
do.